go to south. Yeah, thank you.
People out of voting with their hearts and with their values. In this election, you do have a choice. You can stick with the same old parties, or you can choose the kind of change that puts people first and vote for Neethan Shan. And I can tell you this, as Premier, I won't take people for granted. Let me give you an example. I won't sign a private power deal and then rip it up when I find out it's unpopular and leave everybody with the bill. And I won't hide the facts from people about the decisions that affect their everyday lives. You know, 8 years ago, McGuinty Liberals were elected on a promise to do exactly that. And 8 years later, they're doing the exact opposite.
Shame.
Shame.
People deserve the facts when their government makes a decision that affects them. And when that stops happening, it's time for a change. I will spend each and every day focused on the people who put their faith in me and our party. The people of Ontario will work hard right now. They work very, very hard. They do their part. And as elected representatives, we need to do our part. As New Democrats, we know politics isn't about building something just for ourselves. It's about building something that we can all share. And it's not just about taking care of ourselves. It's about taking care of each other. It's about working together to create a better, healthier, greener future for our children. But before we do that, we need change. We need to change a few things around here. We have just 1 week left until Election Day. And I need your help to make sure every voter in Scarborough knows that they have a positive choice. Now, do you agree with me? Yeah. Do you think that it's time to put people first? Yeah. Do you want to see change in Ontario? Yeah. Are you going to work really, really hard to send Neethan Shan to Queen's Park? Yeah. That's what I need to hear. That's good. I want you all to tell your neighbors that they don't have to give their vote to the same old parties that take Scarborough for granted. Yeah. That puts everyday people first. C'est le temps pour un nouveau Premier ministre à Queen's Park. Et je suis la femme pour le job. It's time for a new Premier at Queen's Park, and I am just the woman for the job. And
this morning. Do you think that the subtext there is aimed at you and aimed at avoiding a vote split with the NDP?
I'm sorry, what plan was that that he's releasing?
His jobs plan.
His jobs plan?
He's retooling it at the 11th hour, and he says he's going to change it on the fly now for the last several days of the campaign.
Well, I mean, Mr. McGuinty will make the decisions that he has to make to try to convince voters that he hasn't taken them for granted for the last 8 years. And voters are going to have that choice on October 6th. I think that what people need to see is a government that's not just there for them when they're afraid of losing seats, but that's there for them through the tough times and putting them first each and every day. That's what New Democrats will do. That's what our commitment is. and I look forward to see what the people decide on October 6th.
Do you think, though, that he's concerned about a vote split? Is that why there's this apparent change in strategy? Is he worried about the NDP hiving off some of those centre-left voters?
Well, I think you'll have to ask Mr. McGuinty what he's worried about or what he's not worried about. All I know is that the New Democrats are getting a great response across the province. We have a fantastic sense of energy and momentum coming out of the debate the other day, and people are feeling very, very positive. And when I talk to voters, they're saying we are looking for change. We want to get rid of a status quo government that's ignored us, and we're looking seriously at voting NDP this time.
So earlier today, you were saying that Cornerstone had no financial role whatsoever in the NDP campaign. Now emerges that they put up the $4.3 million in collateral. That's a lot of dimes. You said not a single dime.
I said there's no direct financial relationship in terms of money flowing from the one organization to the other. And quite clearly, we have guarantors on our loans, like every political party does when they need loans. We have some unions that guarantee our loans. We have this completely separate organization, a completely separate entity called Cornerstone that guarantees some of our loans. But you know what? This is more about Mr. McGuinty wanting to sling mud at the NDP because they're getting worried. They're worried about us. And so once again, they're on the attack. They're doing the politics of press releases and mudslinging to see if they can't take us off our track. And you know what? We're on the right track because we're talking about people, we're talking about their problems, and we're talking about the solutions and how to make life more affordable and better for Ontarians. And we're proud of that kind of a campaign.
But in some respects, a question of trust in some respects?
No, I've been very quite clear. It's a separate organization. It's a separate entity. They do not fund us. They do not give us money. I don't know how more clear I can be. If Mr. McGuinty wants to sling mud and continue to have politics by innuendo and by attacks, then he's welcome to that kind of ball game. I'm not playing it. He can have that game and he can play it his way. I'm playing it straight with the voters, and I'm saying you can trust an NDP government to make the kind of change that will
your plans are going to stand up in tough economic times, given that a lot of your projections are based on the 2011 budget. Those numbers are old.
Well, in fact, we have built in more of a wiggle room, if you will, in our financial plans than the other two parties. So all of us have, contingency and reserve, but we've also got about $1 billion of unallocated funds that we built into our financial plan for that very reason, because we don't know what the horizon is going to be. And we wanted to put forward a plan that is prudent, that is well costed, that makes sense, and that is achievable. And we've been able to do that and do it still putting people first.
And that's going to be enough if things get worse than expected?
It is better than the other two parties have built into their plans, and I think it's very prudent.
Andrea, don't you think there is a paradox between asking a review on the gas plant contract and also would like to stop the growth and innovation contract?
Well, again, my understanding is there's still some opportunity to pull back that contract. I don't know what the details are in it. I haven't seen it because it's not public. But my understanding is there's still an opportunity there. And if there is, I'm saying that absolutely we'll try to pull that back. Look, the bottom line is if our Buy Ontario policy were in place in this province, we wouldn't have seen a Metrolinx contract for refurbishment of trains go to another province for a mere $2 million on a $120 million contract. It makes no sense whatsoever. That $2 million could have generated probably close to $8 or $9 million in taxes alone had that contract stayed in Ontario. Instead, because apparently Mr. McGuinty doesn't believe our tax dollars should put our people back to work. I disagree. I believe our tax dollars should put people back to work. That's why I have a Buy Ontario policy. And if it was in place, we wouldn't have seen this contract leave Ontario. We would have seen Ontario workers in North Bay keep their jobs instead of losing them.
A lot of the polls, what they've said is that people really like you personally, but they're not sure that they would trust you to handle the province's finances. You've got a week left. What do you think that you can do to sort of bridge that gap, which seems to be a bit of the missing piece?
And it's something that I've mentioned many times, and I'm going to continue to reassure people that I will follow in the footsteps of NDP premiers who have done a fantastic job of balancing their books and prioritizing people. I look to places like Manitoba, formerly leaders in Saskatchewan, people like Roy Romano, people like Gary Dewar, people like Greg Selinger, who's up for re-election. In fact, that election, I think, comes a couple days before us. And the bottom line is those premiers, those NDP premiers, have a better track record than Liberals and Conservatives when you look at the record across the country. We have had fewer deficit budgets than Liberals, fewer deficit budgets than Conservatives. When we have run deficit budgets, they have been lower in terms of the ratio of the deficit to GDP. So when we have had to go in deficit, NDP premiers have been very prudent and fiscally responsible. Those are the premiers whose footsteps I will follow in. Those are the people who I will look to for advice and mentoring, and look forward to having the opportunity of doing that.